which theory explains the politics behind the state behavior of the COVID-19 vaccine. To understand how the United States positioned itself with respect to the vaccine, we must first understand how this country, its leader and population react to the pandemic and it in the few months under the creation, production and application of vaccine with its respective process and transformation of ideas about its application throughout the theory of constructivism and how to implement a series of ideologies by Donald Trump. The pandemic began under the mandate of Donald Trump, the man who started an ideological war against China, which later became economic and the popular imagination of Americans turned against China, the sign understanding the great economic interrelationship between these two countries. The pandemic started for reasons still unclear, but the important thing is to understand how in the first months Trump accused and reaffirmed that it's the fault of China and international organization WHO to hide and lower severity of what was happening, and in response the United States will reduce support and international living against the fight against the pandemic. Subsequently, the United States reacted with late and disconnected policies between states and federal government in a completely different line from China and Europe, which limited social interaction and almost completely paralyzed social and economic movement. But the United States took a different plan, but limiting the social interaction, less completing its action by simulating the economic by injecting money into that to not stop it completely. While it became the country with the most cases of the therefore deaths. The first week of the pandemic were chaotic, but even more what is illogical comments like decision, questionable and erroneous action of the administration, generating misinformation and mistrust of the pandemic, like one of the ideological of America that this country is the country of freedoms, was again restrictive measure while embarking of election. This framed at the beginning of the pandemic a few months later of the thin glimmer of hope appeared with the rapid advance of vaccine research by Russia, China, and followed by Europe and finally United States. But in the popular imagination research, manufacturing became a race with the side the dominant of the rest of war, similar to the Cold War. Began its vaccination plan throughout the FDA approving 2 vaccines that had born benefit the American industry. The American industry is the first and most important for in this moment Biden, and this is the detonant of. And second question is, how will the Biden president impact U.S. foreign relationship? At the beginning of his term, Biden faced a dilemma in which he must either continue with the policy of his predecessor Trump by means of releasing continuity of the path of limiting agreement and only maintain tools that can restrain the United States as a power, or to follow the current policy to the present in which by means of liberalism he best of restoring relations with the different countries by rejoining international agreements and treaties as well as restoring relationship with states with the United States has not a good relation, and finally ratifying nascent organizations, mainly in Asia Pacific, continuing to the Donald Trump policy. This path has led to him to retract and not to pursue a continuous policy, but the one that promotes the president decides the peace, but he has had to move for a liberalism scenario to a constructivism, one in which he is given a somewhat confusing image of his policy, in which he seeks a peace of international cooperation, but without ceasing to the dominant power treating Russia and China, but also facing the result of decisions that have already been taken as the processor of withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan and Iraq. That is why Biden policy has changed and will continue to change depending on the interests of the main players during the 2 short years have left in the power. Thanks for watching the video.